Alrighty, Uncle Roddus back with a vinyl video. Could be my last for 2021 because, well, no, it might not be actually. Just depends on when things turn up. There's a few in the post from overseas and from local waiting for pre-orders to come in, but yeah, not a lot. Anyway, right, let's get into it because I've got a fair bit to get through. Well, actually today is my birthday, and my wife got me well, a bunch of vouchers for records, so there's going to be another video, but she also got me this really interesting looking book on New Zealand records, cover art. This just turned up in the shop up and flying out, and so she bought it for me. Now it's a guy who has been collecting records since 2015, which is a similar time that I started recollecting. And he went into some op shops and he found some old New Zealand records which he looked like the look of the artwork and the covers, and he got quite intrigued with the covers, and so he started collecting a lot of these records from all over New Zealand around op shops and that. Now op shop picking in really is pretty slim in New Zealand, but if you're after this sort of stuff, this guy's been collecting, then it's probably not too bad. But I mean, he's also got some pretty good stuff, some really rare stuff in the back of the book, which he talks about the prices and stuff for that. But I don't think he would have found, or if he did find those in op shop, man, he was one lucky dude, because some of those records are hundreds and hundreds of dollars. But a lot of the records in here are not anything that I would ever want to listen to. But it is quite an intriguing sort of book. Yeah, so he's collected over 800 different records in those sort of 6 years or whatever since 2015. So yeah, and he's a journalist, so the book's well written. So yeah, that was really nice, and my wife to get that for me, really pleased with that. I won this one on Trade Me just recently. I never really knew what it was or what about it, but I had a look up when it came up, and it's a 4-track compilation of New Zealand rap type music, R&B rappy sort of stuff. It's actually not bad. It was actually turned out, I got it for $1. to be honest, I bid on it for $1, and I was hoping someone else would buy it because there was a few other people looking at it. But it turns out that it was actually a sampler that was given away free on Record Store Day a couple of years or 3 or so ago. There are copies up for sale for like $20 on Discogs. So yeah, I'm not sure. It's okay. I'm not sure whether I'll keep it or not. So I've picked up some recent stuff out of Flying Out. I got some records on sale that have just arrived today, and I've had a listen to them. This one here, Wise Blood, Titanic Rising. This is from 2019, and the reason I'd heard of her, the lady in question, and I had a track. There's another band another person who goes into a band that goes under a similar name to this, and I can't quite remember. I bought a record of theirs recently, and I think I might have got the two confused. I bought this on the strength that this was voted the #1 record of the year in Uncut magazine for 2019. So, and I picked it up fairly cheap. So I picked, had a listen to it, and my first listen was really disappointed this morning, but I wasn't in the best space this morning, and so this afternoon I had another listen, and I'm finding it's a little bit better. But I don't know. It's very Joni Mitchell. I think she's got a very I don't know. Well, let's see if that grows on me. And then the other one that I picked up on that for sale is this one, which is L7's first LP from 1988. This is a reissue from 2018 or something, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, I had Bricks Are Heavy, that second LP they put out back in the 1990 odd. Don't actually have a copy of it anymore, but had it many years ago. Really enjoyed it. So I picked this up. Yeah, it's not as good. It's okay. It's right girl punk sort of stuff. Yeah, not bad. Someone posted some records by Low, and I jumped on a couple off that they had on Flying Out. Yeah, I got a couple of CDs of Low, and I've really enjoyed their music. So I picked up what they had on their website. This one is the Exit Papers. This is actually an EP. There's only 3 short tracks on one side, but then one really, really long track, like 15 minutes on the other side, plus a second track. So I've listened to this a couple of times. Yeah, this is pretty cool. And I also picked up their latest record. What's it called? Hey What? Yeah, on Sub Pop. Actually, on Sub Pop, the same as White's Blood. She was on Sub Pop as well. Yeah, so this is their latest LP. Pretty good, pretty damn good. Yeah, I'm liking it. I've only had a couple or 3 listens so far, but yeah, I think it's sounding pretty good. And then finally, I jumped on this. I had it in my want basket, and it just came out last week or 2. Robert Plant, Alison Krauss, Raise the Roof, their new double LP. What is it? 10, 11, 12, 14 years after, 13 years after their Raising Sand. I don't have Raising Sand LP, but I'm getting it. My wife has actually ordered me a copy for Christmas. And I am familiar with that album. I've heard it a few times. I absolutely love it. So I've jumped on this. I was a little bit hesitant because this is all covers, mostly except for one original that Robert wrote. So I was a little bit disappointed in that, but yeah, it is really good. And it's not as good as Raising Sand, I think, but it's bloody good. Great band, well done, put together. And I'll just go and grab the record I was going to show you that's playing behind me, because I forgot to grab it. This one has been a long time coming, as in it was released about 3 or 4 months ago on Bandcamp, and then the vinyl got held up. I had to listen to it on Bandcamp. It's a band called Of Pain, OVPAIN. This is their second LP. They are originally from Dunedin. Their first LP was released about 3 to 4 years ago, I suppose. I sort of picked that up when I was fairly new to collecting New Zealand music again back in 17, 16. This is really good though. I'm really enjoying this. This has a real low vibe to it. It's very slow. It's got a lot of drone to it, and then it's got this really cool sax horn stuff going pretty wild over the top of it. Not in your face. It's actually mixed lower in the mix, but it's there. It's noticeable, and it's really good. I'm really, really enjoying this. This is a massive step up from their other LP. Now, okay, David Bowie, the new David Bowie box set has turned up. So I don't know if I've even showed them in my videos over the years, but I've picked up the first 3 box sets from his career that have been reissued. The reissues that they've been putting out have been really, really well done and really great. I mean, there are people whinging and criticising them, but overall I think they're really good. They're kind of cool for the casual fan if you don't have his records and you want to buy a bunch of his records. But then again, they are rather expensive to buy the box sets. Although if you divide it by the number of records in them, they work out reasonably cheap, like $30 to $40 a record, depending on the box. I got the first 3 boxes, and then the next box was his 1980s stuff. Now, I got onto Bowie in 1980 with the Scary Monsters LP, Ashes to Ashes and Fashion were all over the radio at that stage, and they were fantastic songs, and I was like 13, 14 years old, and I loved them. And I knew a bit of Bowie obviously before that, but I backtracked from there, started to listen to some of his earlier stuff, got a bit more familiar, and then of course he put out the Let's Dance LP, and I don't know if I didn't like it, but the fact that it became so massively huge commercially, and it was all over the TV, it was all over the radio, it got absolutely thrashed to beat the 3 big songs off it. And frankly, if that sort of thing happened, I didn't want to know about it back then. I mean, I was really into my hardcore punk stuff and my new wave and exploring 60s garage sounds and all sorts of stuff like that. So commercial music was something I steered away from after the first couple of years of listening to it, of getting into some commercial stuff when I was younger. But anyway, so the box set was, of course, covering all of that from the Let's Dance LP up to the next LPs, 2 LPs, and then a whole bunch of stuff. And I was like, why? I don't want that. Why would I need that? I'm never going to listen to it. I don't like that period of Bowie. And the wife was going, well, why don't you get it? You know, you could have it in part of your collection, and you'd have a complete set. And so I hedged, and then it turned up for sale this year, and I picked it up for a reasonable price. So I bit the bullet, and oh god, it's heavy. Loving the Alien. 1983 to 1988, yeah. So I took the plunge, and there it is. It doesn't have the list on. I took the sticker off the back of it. So yeah. Okay, so actually in the end, I'm kind of glad I got it. I had to listen to it. I mean, the Let's Dance LP has actually held up really, really well over the years, and I don't mind it at all. Yeah, you know, the 3 songs that were all over the place, they're pretty cool. So I'm enjoying those. And we actually did have my wife actually did have a copy of that LP I've got on the shelves, and I've heard it a couple of times. And then of course on the side too, there's that album's version of Cat People Putting Out the Fire, which is a song I really, really like, especially the actual soundtrack version, which is a little different. That was the one that was getting the radio play. And Ricochet on the start of that LP, everybody rants and how great that is, and it is fantastic. The next LP on this is, probably his worst. Is it Tonight? Yeah, probably his worst. There's some live stuff on here. I had listened on Spotify. Originally I was struggling with the 80s production, but actually the live LPs on there are pretty good. I mean, because he's playing a lot of old stuff. I mean, old Bowie stuff that we all know so well. I mean, how can you go wrong? So I really enjoyed that. The Never Let Me Down is an LP. They remastered. No, they re-recorded that. So they've got the original version in here, but then they re-recorded it with a new updated version, 2018 or whatever it was when it came out, 2019. And that's actually quite good. It's actually definitely an improvement. Not much, but it is an improvement. So overall, I'm pleased I've got this box. I will listen to some of it. It is worthwhile if you're a, Bowie completist. And then, really excited, is the new box. Just come out and it's just arrived this week. So Brilliant Adventures 92 to 2001. Now I see that there is a gap there from 1988 to 1992, but he didn't really actually do anything in that time. No LPs or anything like that. There was a bit of a quiet time. I think he was retrenching himself. So I got quite excited about this because there's 5 albums in this set that I really knew nothing about. I had never heard them. I mean, I knew of them, of course, and over the years, and I really enjoyed Bowie's 2000 output, the 4 LPs he put out before he passed in 2016. So this new one came, and I'm keeping an open mind about it, and really looking forward to listening to some records I've never heard before. And the first one out of the box, of course, is the first one he released in 1992-93, Black Tie, White Noise. Better than I expected. Actually, some nice stuff happening on here, some good stuff. I mean, these albums, they're well recorded, the vinyl's fantastic, but he's also, he put a bit of effort into it. I think, in the 80s he was trying to be commercial and trying to put out another LP that was like the previous one, trying to make it so that it would sell lots. And unfortunately, that's what happens when you sell millions of records. The pressure goes on to keep selling millions of records and make lots more money. But frankly, why do you need to? I think Bowie, he was pretty rich by then anyway. So this album was still fairly successful, but I think it's pretty good. I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it, and I think it'll grow to me on me. But a few people say, nah, don't like it. But it's such a good. There's such a lot of stuff happening in the background. This one here, the next one, is the Buddha of Suburbia, and I really knew nothing about this. This is actually a soundtrack LP. This is a lot more ambient. This is actually quite different, and I quite liked it. Yeah, I think I've only had the one listen on this so far, but there are a couple of tracks in South Horizon, I think, is one in particular where Mike Garson is playing, and he played on the most fantastic avant-garde piece of piano that I absolutely adore on Aladdin Sane on the title track, and other tracks on that album, and he's in full flight again here. So there's he's done some good stuff on this. I've only had the one listen so far, but I'm really enjoying it. This is a little bit different. This is quite a dark record, actually. So, One Outside. This is from 1995. This is a concept album, I think, per se. And so the songs, there's a little book in here of a story, and it's a pretty grisly sort of story. And I haven't read all of it yet, but there's a lot of graphic detail about fleshy things, and that it's a little bizarre thing. And from what I read in the book, David had written that story, and the songs in here are all kind of about that story or based on that story. So yeah, the lyrics of it is quite dark, and musically it sounds pretty good. Again, I've been more than impressed than I expected to. I think the interesting thing so far is this is my favourite. Earthling from 1997. It's called his drum and bass record because there is, yes, some drum and bass sort of sounds in it. Some interesting write-up in the book about this record. And so last night I got it out and put it on, second listen, up quite loud. Already a couple of tracks are starting to, filter into my subconscious with the chorus lines and that. So there's some catchy sort of stuff here, but and some great guitar work from Rhys Gables, who's done a lot of work with Bowie even up to his death, I think from memory. I really like this, and it came across at good volume. It came across really well on the hi-fi. So yeah, I'm really impressed. This one I'm still a little bit ambivalent about. The first track on it, Thursday's Child, I'm not a huge fan of so far. But then listening to the rest of it, I wasn't listening that closely, but I got a sense that there's some quite good stuff on here. So I think this album's going to grow on me, but it's probably apart from Body of Suburbia, this is usually reasonably mellow. So, I went into that a lot more open-minded. Let's just forget about what David's done before. Let's just listen to what he's doing in that time period. I know I love what comes up next, but I'm really enjoying it. I'm really glad I got this box set. And then there's this one here, Toy. Now, this is an interesting project that he did around 2000, and basically all of these songs, I believe, were songs that he wrote and recorded way back in the 60s when he was a solo when he was a solo. I don't think any of these are from the band, the earlier bands that he was in, but there are 3 songs on here that I know from his old days. The London Boys, Silly Boy Blue, and Can't Help Thinking About Me. Can't Help Thinking About Me was one of the singles. Silly Boy Blue, I think, was on his first LP. And was it The London Boys? Was another track, I think it was a B-side of another single. I knew those songs. The rest of the songs I have no idea. So he's re-recorded all of these tracks. I think this really has only ever been released as a bootleg. There is a double LP bootleg of this with more tracks on it. My biggest disappointment is that there's apart from the ones I know, I have no idea of the lineage history of any of the other tracks and where they came from. I can't find them. I couldn't find. They're not on his first LP. I looked on Discogs. They're not any of those early singles that he did before, solo singles that he did after the other band's one. So I don't know where the tracks are coming from. I think there was one track that was on the BBC box set, because the first disc is really early 60s, mid 60s stuff, late 60s stuff. I don't know. Disappointed on that side of it, but musically it's pretty good. I like it. I've only listened to one part of this so far, but this is the Token Live LP of the box set. It's actually 3 LPs. So yeah, got some of the recent stuff off those. This was recorded this is actually a BBC live recording concert that he did at the BBC. So it's a small audience. Sounds pretty cool. I'm Afraid of Americans. That's a really cool song, and that's on the Earthling, and that's got a real Nine Inch Nails vibe. And I did read somewhere in the book notes that night that he did do that I think they did record a version of that song together with Trent Reznor. And finally, the inevitable Recall 5. The Recalls, they haven't really done a lot for me. I mean, This one's not bad. There's a lot on it. There's 4 LPs in here, 7, 8 sides. Not sure how this is going to hold up over listening, but there's because a lot of the songs are on the other stuff on the other LPs. So I don't know. Yeah, I think this might be pretty cool in the long term. You know, if I get used to it, get to grips with it. But there is a lot to get to grips with. So that is me. My record's finished over there, so that means I've been blabbing on for a while, and I will leave you guys to it. But yeah, I'm really enjoying the Bowie box set. That latest brilliant adventure. And I'm really pleased I got Loving the Alien. So I think there will be one more box set to cover the last part of his career, which could be in a couple of years, but let's hope so soon. And that's got some fantastic records. And I did pick up a copy of The Next Day on vinyl recently, which I showed in a video not that long ago. So that's really cool too. All right, I'm going to go. Leave you to it. Catch you. Have a Merry Christmas. See you in the new year.